TwelpForce. So talk about what that is.
Well, TwelpForce is, in its purest form, a way for consumers to know all that Best Buy knows as fast as we know it. It is 2,100 Best Buy employees standing by on call, ready to answer any question that comes in related to technology, and some that aren't.
Right.
We had somebody ask us where they might dispose of a dead body if they had one to hide. We had somebody ask what role bananas play in building muscle mass. So people have a little fun.
So
with
you're
it,
doing the kids' homework, or what are you doing?
Actually, there are people who have said, "I need help with this algebra equation,"
Wow.
and we will answer them. It's fun, but you know what? That type of interaction brings out the personality of the brand and the people behind it. And just to have 2,100 people standing by ready to answer questions it's very humbling, because I see this happening every day. I see peer-to-peer learnings happening. I see sharing of information back and forth between stores and people and champions.
Yeah.
And it's really giving us a good temperature gauge as far as what consumers need to know. Right now, our first step in was we're doing a very good job listening, and we're doing a very good job engaging. But how are we reacting to that? How are we learning from that, and how are we ultimately going to change our business?
Right, right. And so actually you're sort of evolving your business based on real-time feedback from your customers.
I think that's the ideal state.
Yeah.
I mean, can I say that we are changing our business day to day based on feedback we get from TwelpForce right now? I think we have work to do, but I also think that this experiment is only 3 months in, believe it or not.
Wow.
I mean, as much credit as we've been given for introducing something like this, it's flattering, but we have a lot more work to do. We're not nearly done. We're scratching the surface, but we also recognize that we've shown that there is a practical application for using Twitter as a way to better understand customers and create deeper and more meaningful relationships with customers. It truly is a one-to-one to many tool, which you can figure out one or the other, but it hasn't really been blended well yet.
Right. So those 2,100 people, who are they? I mean, do they all work in like a giant room? Because that's what I picture.
You picture a hive.
I do.
Kind of like V. Where they all live in the coves. Actually, they all live in towns. They probably live in your town and towns all over.
So they volunteer, but they do it on they do it on your time, not on their own time.
So salaried employees can do it anytime they want.
Right.
Hourly employees do it while they're on the clock. And then that's what we encourage, and that's what we expect of them.
So do you do any kind of training program for them?
We have a very robust wiki for new people as well. It's got sections designed for some of the super users, the people that are ready to take it to another level. If you're running a store feed, for example, you might be ready to host your first tweet up, in which you invite your best customers to the store. There's a gentleman named Andy Cantu who has hosted a tweet up in Best Buy Flower Mound in which 700 people showed up just through relationships via Twitter. So now when you're talking about ROI, you can point to that and say, that store probably did pretty well during that event, because that's a relationship that person has with those people digitally. And we hope that that's replicated throughout all of our U.S. stores someday.
Right.
So the tools are there to help people learn how to do that.
So is it all kind of self-paced? Like, so your store manager in Pennsylvania, I mean, is it like, does he decide when he's kind of ready to do a tweet up? So it sounds to me like that's the case, right? And so you sort of are investing your employees with a lot of autonomy, really.
It's, the TwelpForce initiative really has helped accelerate the adoption of social media amongst our employees. And the beauty of it is they're practicing in front of customers, and they're rolling it out to their local customers, but having a much better understanding of how it works and what to do and what your tone should be like and how to actually have a real relationship.
Yeah.
So we allow TwelpForce to be kind of the proving grounds, and we provide them with these macro tools to help them understand Twitter. And it might be 2-3 months later where you're comfortable enough to say, here's how I'm going to grow my local traffic, or here's how I'm going to go about tweeting about promotions or open box specials or seminars or the latest and greatest from our store, and building a local following.
So
and that's great.
Yeah, that is great. So what's the motivation for them, though? I mean, are they getting support from you guys? But are they getting? I mean, is it just visibility, or why would somebody do it?
There are recognition opportunities that we provide to TwelpForce members. I mean, we publish a top 25 of the week. We publish a top 25 all time. We recognize people with non-monetary rewards, but I really think that people get a great sense of satisfaction in helping customers in a new way.
Yeah.
It goes back to our HR and hiring policies. These are the same type of people that when they find the passion online, they're the same people that find the passion in the store,
right.
from in helping connect things or make for a great experience for these customers. So it's a common trait. It's not like you have to say, I'm hiring you just for the 12th Force.
Yeah.
These are people who have this innate desire to help
right.
and to connect and to create that experience, and so they're just bringing it to life
right.
somewhere else.
Right. So one of the things that I heard you talk about was the notion of sort of creating this North Star, this true north,
mm-hmm.
you know, this true compass north, and then kind of like bumpers for
mm-hmm.
people to sort of function within. Can you just sort of talk about how that plays out?
Well, I think if you look at what the other option would have been, which is to lay out a map mm-hmm. and ask each of our employees to learn, to memorize, to commit themselves to learning the map, to mm-hmm. getting to your destination, I think you'd probably spend more time critiquing and keeping people on the path than you do if you were to open it up and say, I don't necessarily care how you get to this destination. Feel free to experiment. Feel free to try, fail, learn, grow. You know, the idea of having bumpers in place is just to say, look, there are some limits here. You know, we need to be smart. We need to be human. We need to be respectful at all times. But by having those bumpers in place, it allows people some flexibility. Mm-hmm. And if you were to kind of lock them down and say, there is one way to do this, and this is our way, I don't think you would have seen the draw from right. our employee base into this tool. I don't think you would have seen nearly the adoption that we have so far. And we're learning as we go. I mean, we were prepared to have failures in this, and I would say to date we've not had many major ones, nothing that hasn't been able to be smoothed over. But if you get a very specific question, hopefully there's some back and forth that allows you to say, okay, now I get it. You want to edit pictures and you want to edit movies. Yeah. Here is what I would recommend. Yeah. Hopefully you won't get 17 answers to a question. It happens once in a while. And I encourage multiple answers because it provides the customer with multiple points of view.
Right.
And we're arming them with information. It takes 10 seconds to read a tweet. And now you have 5 different points of views that you can take with you wherever you go. Right. We hope it's Best Buy, but you can go use that information wherever you want when you go make your purchase.
That's great. Good. So last question. Yeah. Metrics. How do you measure the mm-hmm. success of your program, or how, either personally or just also from the Best Buy perspective?
ROI is a hot topic, mm-hmm. and I prefer to look at how we measure things as return on brand equity. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, we also measure how well we're doing against key brand value proposition metrics that we have identified internally, such as, are we seen as a brand that's available 24/7? Because that's important to us. We want to be seen as a brand that helps you throughout the process, whether it's pre, during, or post-sale. Mm-hmm. And so these larger brand metrics, we think our entire advertising efforts or marketing efforts have an impact on, but mm-hmm. 12th Force in particular can move a couple of the needles more so than some of our traditional metrics. I also put together a dashboard and send it out on a weekly basis that tracks how many new users and active users we have, just to keep track of the momentum internally. We're working on something that it's kind of skunk works right now, but we want to turn it around and hand it off to our merchant team to show them within specific categories. Let's take computing, for example, what people are talking about. Is it notebooks, netbooks, processors, broken, service, help? I mean, what keywords mm-hmm. are people using when they talk about these categories of business? Ideally, we'd be giving the business teams information that they can take with them as they go out and visit manufacturers over in China or where the suppliers are and say, I need you to make this product better by doing this because customers told me that. Mm. Then that comes back to our stores 6 months later and we've met a need that we identified in this social space. So I'm not naive to believe that one opinion equals a consensus, but you can gather that consensus type data by looking at some of the macro stuff out there. Right. That's what we're trying to do. We're not perfect. We're learning as we go, and when I send my report out, it's always like a beta. This will constantly evolve. This is not finished. It's not perfect. It's kind of like tweeting back with a grammatical mistake. Right? You're human. So I always asterisk that, saying, this will get better. This is what we have today. We're learning, and we're investing in ways to measure, but it's something that will constantly evolve.